6 years. That is exactly how long it has been since this game dropped, and people are still completely losing their minds over a 2D platformer in 2026. We are living in an era where massive open-world titles with photorealistic graphics are coming out every other week, yet most of them get incredibly boring after just a few days. Then you have a masterpiece like this that hooks you instantly and refuses to let go. You might be wondering why a game from 2020 still holds so much weight today, or if time has slowly eaten away at its charm. Well, I am going to break down exactly why this specific title is not just surviving in the modern gaming landscape, but completely embarrassing a lot of the newer releases. Whether you are a casual player who just picked up a controller or a hardcore veteran with decades of experience, certain games just grab you by the soul. The first title, Blind Forest, was an absolute work of art, but when Will of the Wisps hit the shelves, the developers somehow managed to take perfection and crank it up to a level nobody saw coming. The second you look at the screen, you immediately realize this doesn't even look like a video game. It looks like a massive living painting that an artist poured their entire life into. We've seen some crazy stuff with Unreal Engine 5 lately, but the pure artistic direction here makes modern hyper-realistic games look totally soulless. When you first step into the world of Nywin, the background details, the lighting, the vivid colors, everything is engineered to create pure magic. You can see individual raindrops hitting the leaves, the subtle ripples in the water when you swim, and the way the wind naturally pushes the grass around you. It feels incredibly alive. Every single environment, from the darkest caves to the glowing magical pools, shows a borderline insane level of attention to detail from the developers. But underneath all of this breathtaking beauty, there is a very dark, unsettling truth about what happened to this land, and it slowly creeps up on you the deeper you go. Speaking of creeping up on you, the story here does something that most modern RPGs fail to do with hours of cinematic cutscenes. There is barely any dialogue, yet the character expressions and body language will guarantee you're fighting back tears. The plot kicks off with our hero Ori and a baby owl named Ku getting separated during a massive storm. The entire premise is just a desperate journey to find your lost family member. It sounds super basic on paper, but the characters you meet along the way completely change how you view the world. The Moki are these adorable little creatures that help you out, and seeing their personal struggles makes you genuinely want to fix their broken world. Then you have the main villain, Shriek. At first, you absolutely hate this massive, terrifying bird, but once you discover her backstory and see how the world rejected her from the moment she was born, you start questioning if she is actually evil or just deeply traumatized. It perfectly handles the concept of villains being made by their environment, not born into it. But the real question is whether or not Ori actually manages to save Ku before the darkness takes over completely, and that is something you will have to experience for yourself. Now, let us talk about the actual gameplay, because the combat system got a total overhaul from the first game. In the original, you basically just spammed a button and auto-targeted enemies, which was fine, but a bit brainless. Here, they hand you the Spirit Edge, a glowing blade of pure energy, and force you to get right up in the enemy face. The feeling of slashing through corrupted creatures is incredibly satisfying. The impact, the sound design, the visual feedback when you land a hit, it all feels heavy and rewarding. You also unlock a massive hammer called the Spirit Smash, which is perfect for shattering enemy shields, and a Spirit Arc bow for hitting targets across the screen. These mechanics rival some of the best dedicated action games on the market right now. The controls are so buttery smooth that the second you press a button, Ori reacts on the screen without a single microsecond of delay. Jumping, air dashing, and wall climbing flow together flawlessly. Then they throw in the bash mechanic, where you literally grab enemy projectiles in mid-air and launch yourself off them while redirecting the bomb back at their faces. When you chain all these moves together, you can clear an entire room of enemies without your feet ever touching the ground. You start feeling like an absolute god of movement. But just when you get comfortable and think you're untouchable, the game pulls the rug out from under you and drops you into absolute nightmares. They introduced some serious RPG elements this time around to keep things fresh. Instead of a basic linear skill tree, you get a shard system. You explore the map, find these hidden shards, and equip them to completely change how you play. If you want to go full aggressive, you can stack damage buffs. If you struggle with the platforming, you can equip a triple jump or a shard that makes you stick to walls automatically. You essentially build your own version of Ori. The map design is a masterclass in Metroidvania exploration. You will constantly run into areas you can't reach, only to come back hours later with a new power-up like a grapple or a burrowing dash, and suddenly that locked area becomes your playground. They also added a hub town called the Wellspring Glades, which introduces actual side quests. You gather materials like magical ore for a character named Grom, and he physically rebuilds the town right in front of your eyes. Clearing out the thorns, building new houses, and seeing the animal refugees return to a safe haven gives you a massive sense of accomplishment. But don't let that cozy feeling fool you, because the world outside that town is trying its absolute hardest to kill you. The environments aren't just visually different, they completely change the rules of the game. When you dive into Luma pools, you have to master this mechanic where you shoot out of the water like a torpedo to reach high platforms. Then you head up to Bower Reach, a freezing snow mountain where you have to constantly light fires so you don't freeze to death. But nothing prepares you for the Moldwood Depths. It's a pitch-black area where stepping into the darkness for more than a few seconds results in instant death. You're constantly sweating, rushing from one tiny light source to another while terrifying bugs try to knock you into the shadows. The developers refuse to let the gameplay loop get stale. If you think you're fast, there are even spirit trials scattered around the map where you can race against the ghost data of other real players on global leaderboards. I have to talk about the boss fights, because that was the biggest complaint people had about the first game. The original basically only had escape sequences, but Will of the Wisps brings in traditional multi-phase boss battles that are some of the best in modern gaming. Fighting the massive horned beetle or going toe-to-toe with Mora the spider will have your hands physically sweating. You have to learn their attack patterns, dodge at the perfect millisecond, and use all your weapons while constantly staying airborne. If you mess up your timing, you are dead, period. And yes, the famous chase sequences return, and they will easily double your heart rate. Running from a massive sandworm while you frantically burrow through the dirt, jumping off crumbling platforms without a single second to stop and think, relies purely on your muscle memory. It can honestly get a little frustrating when you die 10 times in a row because you did not know which way to jump. That trial and error is probably the only minor flaw in the entire game, but the rush of adrenaline you get when you finally clear that chase is completely unmatched. None of this would hit as hard without the masterpiece of a soundtrack composed by Gareth Coker. The music is the actual heartbeat of this game. When you are exploring a quiet, safe area, the soft flute melodies completely relax your mind. When a boss fight kicks off, the heavy percussion and fast tempo inject pure adrenaline straight into your veins. The sound of the wind, the water splashing, the little noises the characters make, you need to play this with a good headset because it fully immerses you. Even now in 2026, I still listen to this soundtrack when I am working or chilling. It is that good. Technically speaking, while it had some frame drops back at launch, playing it today on modern hardware is a flawless experience. Running this at 4K 120 frames per second is smoother than glass. The graphics have not aged a single day, and honestly, they will probably look just as stunning 20 years from now, because art direction always beats raw polygon counts. The replay value is massive too, especially if you dive into hard mode or try to find all the hidden secrets you missed the first time around. But everything I just talked about leads up to the climax of the story. I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, because experiencing it firsthand is mandatory, but I will say this: no matter how tough you think you are, that ending will leave a heavy lump in your throat. It is incredibly rare for a video game to deliver such massive emotional weight and close out a story so perfectly. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is not just a video game to kill some time on a weekend. It is a full experience that blends tight combat, genius platforming, flawless art, and deep emotion into a perfect package. The minor frustrations with trial and error chases do absolutely nothing to bring down the overall masterpiece. This is easily one of the most iconic titles in gaming history. Without a single doubt in my mind, I'm giving this game a solid 5 out of 5. If you haven't played this yet, do yourself a favor and start downloading it right now. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to drop a like on the video and share it with your friends who appreciate real gaming masterpieces. Have you played the Ori series yet? And if so, which boss fight gave you the most trouble?
Let me know down in the comments because I want to hear your experiences. If you want to see more hardcore reviews just like this one, hit that subscribe button right now. We have plenty more amazing games to talk about, and I will catch you all in the next one.